Welcome back to Real Estate Investing in New York with me, Christina Kremidas. And in this episode, we are doing a deep dive on the beautiful waterfront neighborhood of Battery Park City. Everything you need to know about this area, including the land lease information. So stay tuned, we're covering everything here. This is Real Estate Investing in New York with Christina Kremidas, helping you achieve a future of financial success by making intelligent real estate investment decisions today. Thank you for being here for another episode. A lot of my clients ask about the neighborhood of Battery Park City. Some clients don't even know that Battery Park City exists or that it's as beautiful as it is, and I have to be the one that recommends it. And at the end of the day, there's always a lot of questions that come out of getting familiar with this neighborhood. Where exactly is it? Is it accessible? What is involved with the monthlies? Why are the monthlies a little bit higher than average? And what's the deal with the land lease? So I'm going to give you all the information that you would need to know in order to decide if Battery Park City is a neighborhood that you want to consider when thinking about where to buy an apartment in New York City. Battery Park City is located on the west side of Manhattan to the west side of the West Side Highway, and it begins right at the bottom of Tribeca and it continues all the way down to the southernmost tip of Manhattan. This neighborhood is all man-made land, and it was created in the 1970s from soil and rock that was excavated during developments in New York City history, including the development of the World Trade Center, the original World Trade Center, the development of the New York City water tunnel. So with all of that land that they excavated, they built the neighborhood of Battery Park City. It actually took over 3 million cubic yards of soil to make this neighborhood. So I thought that was quite interesting, actually. Residential buildings started going up in the 1980s, and they are still coming up today. They've been getting built over the years. As of now, there are several new buildings that are going up, or existing structures are being renovated and converted from rental buildings into condo buildings or co-op buildings, etc. So there's a lot going on in this neighborhood, and it is still growing and it is still evolving. So when you enter Battery Park City, it's a very different feeling than what you feel elsewhere in Manhattan. There is a tranquil, peaceful vibe to this neighborhood that really only exists here. You don't feel like you're in the city of Manhattan when you're in Battery Park City. It is a waterfront luxury neighborhood. You have views of the Statue of Liberty. You have views across the river of New Jersey, and the sun sets in this direction to the west. So you actually get stunning, beautiful sunsets. There are tons of restaurants that are on the water. They're playing music outside in the summer. They have their globe lights strung outside. You feel like you're in a resort town in the neighborhood of Battery Park City. It's separated from the financial district by the West Side Highway. So again, you do feel this physical separation from the rest of Manhattan. And as soon as you cross over and enter this area, immediately it is like night and day. It feels different. There's a lot of greenery, lots of green park space, and lots of trees. You hear birds chirping in the trees. And one of the most notable things is it feels clean. And that's because Battery Park City actually has its own private cleaning department as well as its own private security. In addition to the restaurants and all the dining options that are there, there's also a Conrad hotel, a luxury hotel. And within that building, there is a Regal movie theater as well. You have the renovated World Trade Center right on the edge of Battery Park City. And as you probably know, you have the Freedom Tower there and the massive Brookfield Place development that houses a designer mall and a really nice food court upstairs with lots of different sushi restaurants and different various dining options. So again, it's become a very trendy, elevated location. Also at home in this neighborhood is Stuyvesant High School. There is a carousel that was installed called Sea Glass Carousel. And to the southern edge of Battery Park City, you'll find the Staten Island Ferry. You feel so secluded actually in Battery Park City that you almost can't believe that you also have phenomenal access to the MTA. You have great subway proximity in this neighborhood, and it really always is surprising. You're like, oh, I can't believe that. I feel like I'm in a suburb right now, and just a few blocks away, I have every train I could need. There is the red line, the green line, the blue line, and the yellow line, all very close, flanking Battery Park City. You have a good mix of condo and co-op buildings and rental buildings, very residential neighborhood. In the last 6 months, looking at numbers and data of real estate transactions in the area, the average price per square foot was $1,400. The average transaction price across all apartment sizes was $1,610,000. The average monthlies, which are the building common charges and taxes combined, were just around $3,400 a month. The median apartment size for apartments that closed in the last 6 months was about 1,108 square feet, and the average discount rate was 1.8% for those transactions. So the basics are covered. Let's discuss the land lease. This is a very interesting component to the neighborhood. It's a very unique component to the neighborhood. This hardly exists elsewhere. We discussed that the entire neighborhood is made of man-made land. So this land is owned by the Battery Park City Authority. This is the establishment that New York put in charge of managing this development site. So there is an owner of all of this man-made land, and it is Battery Park City Authority. Now there is a land lease in place, and what that means is that there is a price that the Battery Park City Authority essentially leases the entire ground from New York City. It's called their master ground lease. And this oversees and kind of sets the tone for all of the monthlies that you pay in this neighborhood if you're a property owner there. When residents in Battery Park City pay their property taxes, they are not really paying property taxes. What they're paying is called a pilot payment, and pilot stands for payment in lieu of taxes. This accounts for the cost of the lease to the city. So aside from the master ground lease, there are individual leases that are negotiated between every individual residential building in Battery Park City and the Battery Park City Authority. So aside from the master lease, every single building has its own negotiated deal with the Battery Park City Authority and how they're going to rent their land from them. Usually in New York City, buildings own the land that they sit on. So the land underneath a building is owned by the building, and the building makes mortgage payments usually if it's not already paid off. And that mortgage payment gives the residents a very clear understanding of what their monthlies will look like for the foreseeable future, because mortgage payments usually don't change. If anything, they go down when the building refinances. So you have an element of stability there. With the lease, all of these buildings actually do not own the land that they sit on. They lease the land that they sit on. And they have individual leases between them and Battery Park City Authority. And then Battery Park City Authority has an overall ground lease agreement with the city. So when resident owners pay their pilot fee, they are contributing towards the payment of their ground lease, as well as the Battery Park City neighborhood amenity costs, including that private security, private cleaning, and that is what's going into their payment in lieu of taxes. The monthlies that you would pay in lieu of property taxes in Battery Park City tend to be a bit higher than average monthlies, for example, across the West Side Highway in the financial district, where you're paying standard taxes and common charges. To put that into perspective, the average monthlies for transactions that occurred in the last 6 months in Battery Park City was around $3,400 per month. And on the other side, financial district across the highway, the average monthlies on apartments of all sizes in the last 6 months that closed were $2,750. So there's a bit of a difference there. Now, oftentimes people that want to live in Battery Park City do not necessarily have an issue with the difference in monthlies because they feel like it's a lifestyle. There's enough of a lifestyle difference and they feel that it is worth it to them. But of course, it's something that you as the educated consumer would want to weigh your pros and cons on. So the biggest concern that people have that I find myself discussing with clients with respect to this land lease and the pilot payment and this whole situation is what happens when the lease between their building and Battery Park City Authority, or the lease between Battery Park City Authority and the city, expires. What happens at that time? So the answer to that question is not black and white. These leases are negotiated for very long periods of time. And right now, the master lease with Battery Park City Authority and New York expires in the year 2119. So we have quite a few years left on it. It was originally going to expire in 2069, and they've proactively, well in advance, renewed it for another 50 years. So the understanding is that that is what would continue to occur. Again, it would be interesting and surprising to everyone if the city decided to displace an entire neighborhood by severely jacking up their lease renewal costs. It just would be a really unlikely thing for them to do. But again, there is an element of uncertainty whenever you have something in place that expires. So that's something to keep in mind. And it's the same exact story for the individual buildings and how they have leases between them and the Battery Park City Authority. These buildings have negotiated their own terms. Building to building is all very different. So you will notice a pretty significant difference in the monthlies from building to building within this neighborhood. Again, another thing that you work with your broker and we decide what is good with you and what you want to be looking at. But there are very different monthlies that you might find from building to building. This is because they negotiated their leases differently. And within your specific lease, when you get to the due diligence period, let's say you see a building that you like and you explore the due diligence, you will have very accurate, obviously, information that is outlined for you for the next several years. Every building is different and it has a different time frame going on its agreement. But the expectation is that you know what's coming for a while, but there is no 100% certain answer in terms of what happens upon the expiration of the leases. So what usually occurs is the leases are in place for, let's say, 100 years at a time. The building will have negotiated step ups in terms of what their monthlies are going to be, however many years in between each step up in payment is going to occur. Step up is an increase in payment. And the model of this was really to reflect the way property taxes would gradually increase over time. Over time, obviously, the monthlies are always going to go up, however many percentage points on average. And this is what they mimicked when it came to their lease agreements and their step up in payments. And again, it's going to vary from building to building. So you'll want to look at it with your attorney, make sure that you understand when the step ups are occurring and how much they are. There is some gray area because some of the buildings have negotiated step ups that are either, a certain dollar amount or X amount of a market increase that has occurred. So again, if you're someone that really needs ultimate 100% bulletproof black and white clarity, this is probably going to stress you out. But if you're someone that really loves the beauty of the neighborhood, feels like it's a good fit for you and your living situation or your living goals, it's something that you would absolutely be able to wrap your mind around and manage and discuss with your attorney and discuss and ultimately decide what's right for you. Now for my favorite residential buildings right now where you can buy an apartment in Battery Park City. One of my favorite buildings at the moment is called the Solaire building, and it is located at 20 River Terrace. This is a interesting project that is being developed right now. This was a previously rental building and it is being converted to a co-op legal entity with condo rules. So a condo. So you're getting the benefit of better pricing. Co-ops versus condos, usually co-ops are a bit more affordable, but you are getting the flexibility in terms of a condo. There's great inventory right now. There's beautiful amenities in the building. It feels luxury. And the location is prime. It's on the northern edge of Battery Park City. You're bordering Tribeca, very accessible. The average price per square foot in this building for recent sales is $1,645. The average sale price in the building is $1.93 million, but there's plenty of inventory around the $1 million range as well. And the average monthlies in the building are $3,466 per month. My next favorite building at the moment is also a rental conversion project, and this is located at 210 Warren Street. The name of the project is Tribeca Green. So again, your prime neighborhood, you're bordering Tribeca. This one has a little bit of a better price. It was actually the fastest selling development in the city for a while. This one is also a beautiful building. There are nice amenities. It does feel, however, like a little bit more of a value option compared to the previous building that I just mentioned that has a very similar structure. The average price per square foot of sales in this building is $1,388. The average sale price has been $1,560,000, and the average monthlies in the building are $3,250 per month. Again, nice range of options to look at. The building sold really well, so certain apartment sizes are totally sold out, but definitely if you're in the market for Battery Park City and you want to check it out, it's a great building, very flexible subletting policy. If you're looking for something to sublet, definitely worth checking out. And both of these buildings, it's worth mentioning, have water views, which is a selling point in this neighborhood in general. If you're going to buy here, you're probably going to want something with water views. My final building that I love in this neighborhood, this is the building that is located at 225 Rector Street. It's a standard condo building, so you're not dealing with a co-op entity that has condo rules. This is just a straight condo, very easy, very straightforward. And this building is not in the process of being developed. It has been developed already, so you're only buying resales in this building from individual owners versus in the prior two buildings, you are buying from a sponsor. So there's a different way of negotiating for those. But with 225 Rector Street, beautiful building, water view apartments. Many of them are nicely renovated, and you're getting great suite of amenities. There's a nice, beautiful swimming pool and nice lounge area and other various, very desirable amenities in this building. And while it's very luxury and it feels wonderful, it is very well priced. The average price per square foot in this building is just over $1,300. The average sale price has been $981,000. The average monthlies are just under $2,000 a month. And the discount rate in this building has been about 6%. This is in the last 6 months of sales transactions. And that discount rate is worth mentioning because sponsor sales usually are not discounting much at all. There's different ways that you can get a good amount of money back on sponsor sales. Depends on how aggressive the building is selling off, but you do have an opportunity for the discount over at 225 Rector. So that sums it up. One of my favorite neighborhoods downtown, a neighborhood that is very often overlooked. It's kind of a hidden gem, honestly, though it's becoming very popular as more and more people come in to work in Brookfield Place and World Trade. They're noticing this area, but definitely still very much on the rise. So if you're interested in seeing it, you can always reach out to me. I love hearing your questions, your thoughts, and I love working with you guys. Please never hesitate. Send me an email. My email address is christina.kremidas@element.com. Or if you'd like to visit my website, christinakremidas.com, you can get all of my contact information and also learn more about me and the team. Thank you so much for being here. Stay tuned for the next one, and I appreciate you guys.